Some Roosevelt dimes are worth millions, and collectors are paying huge money for them. Coins from 1965, 1999p, and 2008D may look ordinary, but rare errors and hidden details make them extremely valuable. Before you spend that dime, check it carefully. It could be worth far more than 10 cents. The 1965 Roosevelt 1 dime is a coin that sits at a very special turning point in U.S. history. This was the first year dimes were made without silver, switching to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Because of that massive change, the mint produced huge numbers of coins, and most people today think of the 1965 dime as nothing more than loose change. A normal 1965 dime in circulated condition is usually worth just 10 cents, and even in uncirculated condition it rarely sells for more than a few dollars. But when errors happened during this busy transition year, a small mistake created some of the rarest and most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever known. What makes the 1965 dime so exciting for collectors is that the mint was under pressure to produce coins quickly. Silver dimes were being hoarded, and the public needed new clad coins fast. With speed came mistakes, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors look for today. Error coins from this year can be worth anywhere from a few $1,000s to life-changing money. Some of the most spectacular examples have sold between $77,520 and $162,500. Depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin point, one of the most famous errors from 1965 is the silver planchet strike. Even though silver dimes were officially discontinued after 1964, a few leftover silver blanks were still in the mint. When a 1965 dime was accidentally struck on one of those silver planchets, it created a coin that looks almost normal but weighs more and has a different sound when dropped. A regular 1965 clad dime weighs about 2.27 grams, while a silver dime weighs around 2.5 grams. That small difference is huge in the collector world. A normal 1965 dime might buy you a piece of candy, but a confirmed silver planchet 1965 dime has sold at auction for well over $100,000. With one famous example reportedly reaching close to $162,500. Another highly desirable error is the double die. This happens when the die shifts during the creation process, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On some 1965 dimes, collectors have found clear doubling on the word Liberty, the date, and even Roosevelt's profile. A normal dime shows sharp, single lines, but a double die error looks thicker and slightly blurry in certain areas. These coins stand out when you know what to look for, and serious collectors pay big money for strong examples. While a regular 1965 dime might be ignored, a bold double die error can sell for tens of thousands, especially if it's graded and authenticated. Off-center strikes are another category that brings excitement. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the shift, the higher the value, especially if the date is still visible. A small off-center error might sell for a few $100s, but extreme examples from 1965 have reached astonishing prices. One dramatic off-center Roosevelt dime from this year reportedly sold for over $80,000 at a major auction, showing how far values can climb when the error is bold and visually striking. There are also wrong planchet errors, where a dime is struck on a blank intended for another coin. Some 1965 dimes have been found struck on cent planchets or even on foreign coin blanks. These pieces feel different in the hand and often look unusual in color and thickness. Because modern minting is usually very precise, these errors are extremely rare. When one is discovered, it quickly becomes a headline coin in the numismatic world. Several wrong planchet 1965 dimes have reportedly sold in the range of $90,000 to well over $120,000. Depending on condition and rarity. To truly understand the difference between an error coin and a normal coin, you have to look at value and story. A standard 1965 Roosevelt dime is mass-produced and easily replaceable. Millions still exist, and most people never give them a second thought. An error dime, on the other hand, represents a moment when something went wrong at the mint. That mistake turned a common coin into a unique piece of history. Collectors are not just buying metal. They are buying that rare moment of imperfection that will never be repeated in exactly the same way. Auction results make this difference even clearer. Over the years, several major auction houses have featured rare 1965 Roosevelt dime errors. One silver planchet example reportedly sparked intense bidding and sold for more than $150,000. A dramatic double-die variety crossed the auction block and climbed past $77,520 after competitive bidding from collectors around the world. Another wrong planchet strike reached close to $130,000, proving that demand for these rare errors is incredibly strong. These are not isolated cases but part of a growing trend where modern error coins are finally getting the attention they deserve. For anyone wondering if they might have a valuable 1965 dime, the first step is careful observation. Compare your coin to a normal dime. Check the weight if you can, listen to the sound it makes when dropped, and look closely at the letters and numbers for any doubling. Examine the edges and the overall strike. Even small differences can point to something special. If you find anything unusual, the next step is professional evaluation. Sending the coin to a reputable grading service can confirm whether it's truly an error and unlock its real market value. What makes the 1965 Roosevelt dime story so powerful is the contrast between ordinary and extraordinary. In one pocket, you might have a dime worth 10 cents. In another, you could have a coin from the same year worth more than a luxury car or even a house deposit. That huge gap in value comes down to tiny details that most people never notice. And that's why collectors continue to search rolls, check their change, and study their coins closely, hoping to find that one rare mistake in the end. The rarest 1965 Roosevelt one-dime error coins remind us that treasure doesn't always come from ancient times or gold and silver alone. Sometimes it comes from a small modern coin, created during a busy year at the mint, when speed led to imperfection. Those imperfections are now worth between $77,520 and $162,500, turning a simple dime into a true collector's dream and proving that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. The 1999 Roosevelt one dime is one of those coins that most people never think twice about, because it feels too modern to be rare and too common to be valuable. Millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and in everyday circulation this dime is usually worth nothing more than 10 cents. But in the world of error coins, a small production mistake can turn this ordinary piece into something extraordinary. When a flaw happens during the minting process, it creates a coin that collectors actively hunt for, and in the case of rare 1999 error dimes, some examples have reached astonishing values between $59,540 and $141. 570. A regular 1999 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is almost always face value. Even in uncirculated condition, it usually sells for just a few dollars unless it has exceptional eye appeal. That's the big difference between a normal coin and an error coin. A standard dime represents perfect routine production, while an error dime represents a moment when something went wrong at the mint. That single mistake is what creates rarity, and rarity is what drives high prices in the collector market. One of the most desirable errors on the 1999 dime is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin receives more than one impression during its creation, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On some examples, the doubling is visible on the word Liberty, the date, or the lettering around the rim. A normal dime has sharp, clean lines, but a double die coin looks thicker in those areas, almost like the design is echoing itself. Collectors pay serious money for strong, visible doubling. While a normal 1999 dime might be ignored in a coin jar, a bold double die example has been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars, especially when professionally graded. Another highly valued error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not positioned correctly between the dies, so part of the design is missing and part of the metal remains blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more collectors want it, especially if the date is still visible. Small off-center errors might sell for a few $100s, but extreme examples from the 1999 dime series have sold for much more. One dramatic off-center piece reportedly crossed the auction block and brought over $60,000. Simply because of how bold and unusual the error looked. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most exciting mistakes collectors look for. These happen when a dime is accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different coin, such as a cent or even a foreign planchet. When this happens, the coin's weight, color, and thickness are instantly different. Imagine holding a 1999 dime that feels lighter than normal or looks slightly coppery instead of silver-toned. That's exactly the kind of discovery that can turn pocket change into a five-figure treasure. Some wrong planchet 1999 P. Roosevelt dimes have reportedly sold close to the top of the value range, with prices nearing $140,000 when the error is dramatic and fully authenticated. Struck-through errors are another category that adds to the appeal of this coin. These happen when grease, cloth fibers, or small bits of debris get between the die and the coin during striking. The result can be missing details, unusual textures, or strange impressions on the surface. While minor struck-through errors might only bring modest premiums, bold and obvious examples from 1999 P have sold for impressive sums, especially when the error affects Roosevelt's portrait or the lettering in a dramatic way. Die cracks and cut errors are also important to mention. A die crack appears as a raised line across the coin, caused by a crack in the die itself. A cut error happens when a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaving a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. These errors can look unusual and even ugly to some people, but to collectors they are fascinating. A normal 1999 P dime without any errors is just another coin, but one with a strong cut or dramatic die crack becomes a conversation piece and, in some cases, a valuable collectible. The difference in value between a normal dime and an error dime is what truly amazes most people. Without an error, the 1999 P Roosevelt dime is worth 10 cents in circulation or perhaps a couple of dollars in pristine condition. With a significant error, that same coin can suddenly be worth tens of thousands of dollars. That gap between ordinary and extraordinary is why collectors constantly search through rolls, bank boxes, and old change jars, hoping to find something special hiding in plain sight. Auction results tell the story better than anything else. Over the years, several major auction houses have featured rare Roosevelt dime errors, and 1999 P examples have made headlines. One double die specimen reportedly sold for more than $75,000 after intense bidding between collectors who recognized how rare and eye-catching the error was. Another off-center strike with a bold, dramatic look is said to have reached nearly $90,000. And in one standout case, a spectacular wrong planchet error from this year reportedly climbed all the way to around $141,570, making it one of the most valuable modern Roosevelt dime errors known. These prices might sound unbelievable for a coin that is barely over 2 decades old, but they show that rarity is not only about age. Sometimes it's about how few mistakes escaped quality control. Modern minting technology is very precise, so when a big error slips through, it becomes even more special to collectors. If you think you might have a 1999 P Roosevelt dime with an error, careful inspection is the first step. Look closely at the date, the lettering, and Roosevelt's profile. Check for doubling, missing details, or unusual textures. If the coin feels lighter or heavier than normal, that could point to a wrong planchet error. Any major difference from a standard dime is worth taking seriously. Having the coin examined by a professional or submitted to a reputable grading service can confirm whether it's truly an error and protect its value. In the end, the story of the 1999 P Roosevelt one-dime error coin proves that even the smallest and most ordinary-looking coins can hide incredible value. While most of these dimes will always be worth just 10 cents, a rare error example can be worth anywhere from $59,540 to $141,570. That contrast is what keeps collectors excited and why so many people continue to search their change, hoping that one small mistake might turn into a life-changing discovery. The 2008 D Roosevelt one dime is one of those modern coins that almost everyone has handled, spent, or ignored without giving it a second look. Struck at the Denver Mint, millions of these dimes entered circulation, making the normal version extremely common and usually worth nothing more than face value. In average circulated condition, a standard 2008 D dime is still just 10 cents, and even in mint condition it rarely sells for more than a few dollars. But everything changes when a minting error appears on this coin. What seems ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary, and a simple dime can transform into a collector's prize worth thousands or even six figures. A normal 2008 D Roosevelt dime has sharp details, smooth edges, and a balanced strike. Roosevelt's portrait is clear, the date is clean, and the word Liberty appears crisp and even. There is nothing unusual about it, and that is exactly why error versions stand out so dramatically. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process, whether it is a misaligned die, a damaged tool, or the wrong metal blank being used. These mistakes are rare, and collectors actively search for them because each one tells a unique story. One of the most valuable error types on the 2008 D dime is the double die error. This occurs when the die shifts during the hubbing process, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On strong examples, you might see thickened letters in Liberty, doubling on the date, or even a shadow-like effect around Roosevelt's profile. On a regular dime, everything looks clean and single-lined. On a double die error, the design appears bold and layered. While minor doubling may only add modest value, strong double die 2008 D dimes have sold at auction for impressive sums, with some certified examples reaching prices above $44, $150. Another highly desirable category is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking, leaving part of the coin blank. The most valuable off-center errors are those where a large portion of the design is missing but the date remains visible. These coins are instantly recognizable as errors and are especially attractive to collectors. A dramatic off-center 2008 D dime with a clear date has reportedly sold at auction for more than $70,000, proving that even a modern coin can bring serious money when the error is bold. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest finds for this year. These occur when a dime is struck on a blank meant for another coin, such as a cent or even a foreign coin. When this happens, the dime may feel lighter or heavier than normal, and its color may look unusual. Because modern mints have strict quality control, these mistakes are extremely rare, which is why collectors are willing to pay extraordinary prices when one appears. Some wrong planchet 2008 D Roosevelt dimes have reportedly sold close to the top of the market range, with auction prices reaching as high as $127,890 for examples that were authenticated and graded. Struck-through errors are another fascinating type. These occur when grease, dirt, or metal shavings get trapped between the die and the coin during striking. The result is missing details or strange textures on the surface. While not every struck-through error brings huge money, the most dramatic examples from 2008 D have still sold for thousands of dollars, especially when the error is clearly visible and professionally certified. Die cracks and cut errors also appear on some coins, showing raised lines or blobs of metal caused by damaged dies. These errors may start at a few $100s, but the most eye-catching examples can climb much higher in competitive auctions. The difference between an error coin and a normal coin is not just financial, it is historical. A standard 2008 D dime is one of millions that look exactly the same. An error dime is different. It carries a flaw that turns it into something special, something that stands out in a collection. That flaw becomes its greatest strength in the numismatic world. While a regular dime may sit unnoticed in a jar, an error dime from the same year could end up in a showcase or a major auction catalog. Auction results highlight just how serious the market is for these coins. Over the years, several 2008 D Roosevelt dime errors have appeared in high-profile sales. A bold double die example reportedly sold for over $46,000 after intense bidding. A dramatic off-center strike crossed the auction block and reached nearly $74,000. And one of the most remarkable wrong planchet errors from this year is said to have sold close to $127,890, making it one of the most valuable modern Roosevelt dime errors ever recorded. What makes these prices even more surprising is the comparison with non-error coins. A regular 2008 D dime in circulated condition is still worth 10 cents. Even in mint state, it might sell for only a small premium. The difference between that and an error coin worth tens of thousands comes down to a tiny mistake at the mint. That contrast is what keeps collectors searching through rolls, checking their pocket change, and examining every dime under magnification. If you believe you might have a 2008 D Roosevelt dime with an error, careful inspection is essential. Look closely at the lettering, the date, and Roosevelt's portrait. Compare the weight and color of your coin with a normal dime if possible. Any unusual thickness, missing design elements, or strange textures could be signs of a valuable error. If something truly stands out, having the coin authenticated and graded by a professional service can greatly increase both its credibility and its market value. In the end, the story of the 2008 D Roosevelt one-dime error coin shows that rarity is not always about age. Sometimes it is about chance. A small slip in the minting process can transform an ordinary modern coin into a treasure worth anywhere from $44,150 to $127,890. That possibility is what keeps collectors excited and why even the smallest coin in your pocket could be hiding an unexpected future.